I hope that you are ready for the juicy details of what happens at the closing table. I mean, as juicy as a stack of paperwork can get, I guess. And a big hello and welcome back to part 2 of my Behind the Scenes as a Realtor series. And now, before we dive in, I want to take a moment to tell you about something that's really close to my heart, which is Mission 42. Now, when you work with me, a portion of my compensation is going to be donated to animal-focused nonprofits of your choice that are helping pets in need find their forever homes. So, with every home bought or sold, we're not just making a move, we're making a difference. And now in this video, we're going to dive a little deeper at the title company with Travis Henry of Burns, Henry & Kirksey and Paige McConnaughy, a skilled title closing processor. Though we're going to be tackling specific questions about their roles and how their expertise ensures a smooth closing experience. So, whether you're buying your first home or managing an inherited property, this information you won't want to miss. And now, if you're new here, I am Chris Roberts with Realty One Group Experts, specializing in real estate here in Cleveland and Chattanooga, Tennessee. I help clients navigate life transitions like moving into retirement homes, handling inherited properties, and even relocating and finding their dream home right here in the Ocoee region. Now, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video all around for anyone that's curious about real estate. And check out the description below for my contact information, as I would love to help with any of your real estate needs. And now, let's get a quick word from one of our sponsors. Good boy. And a question for Travis: what details should people pay special attention to before they sign on that dotted line?
Well, I think the question is there consistency with their purchase contract and the closing documents? So, taking the time to understand their contract. I know how it is now with a lot of contracts are signed by DocuSign. And I know how easy it is just to click the button and not actually read the document. I know with agents like you, realtors like you, you're going through those contracts with them, making sure they understand. But then that next step of making sure there's continuity between the contract and the closing documents are really important. For example, if we've agreed to for there to be an escrow of funds for repairs in the contract, that should be reflected on the settlement statement as well. And so just making sure that everything is consistent, I think that's the number one thing that parties can do, is just making sure if there's any unique terms that those are carried over to the contract as well.
And how does an attorney's role differ from that of a closing processor when it comes time to close on a property?
Tennessee is unique from Georgia in that Tennessee does not require an attorney to actually handle the closing, whereas Georgia does. And so we have to be involved in that actual closing ceremony in all of our Georgia closings. But the difference is, when I think of a closing coordinator, they're the person that's going to be involved in communicating from the minute we get the contract right up to closing, making sure all the questions are answered and that we know we're going to show up on this day. We're going to make sure that we bring the keys and the garage door openers. We're going to make sure we have the funds, the right amount of money that we're being able to be provided. I realize and I appreciate that this isn't just signing paperwork, and this isn't just an exchanging money. This is the culmination of the hopes and dreams of the people at that table. They've thought about, they've dreamed, they've prayed about being able to buy or sell a home. And we're helping them realize that dream. And so that's something that throughout our company, we talk about and we believe it. And I hope that makes a difference and that it comes through at the closing table.
Would you be able to explain what title insurance is in super simple terms?
Sure. Well, title insurance protects your ownership in the property from any claims of any other parties that may come forward and say, no, I have an interest in this land. I may have an ownership in this land. I may have had a lien in this land that gives me the right to foreclose on the property. And so what title insurance does is it's a one-time fee that you pay at closing, and it protects your investment. Again, likely the biggest investment of your life. And it says that you alone own this property and you have all rights and interest to it. Nobody can take it from you. It is yours. And so the benefit of that is that if anybody ever comes forward and says, well, I had an ownership interest previously and I never released that interest, or I have a lien and I was owed money and I'm going to foreclose on this property. If you have an owner's title policy, all you have to do is call that underwriter and that company that issued that policy, and they will provide you legal assistance. They'll step in and they'll fight for you. They'll either make sure that that is dealt with in a court of law, or they'll reimburse you financially for the amount of the property that you paid for the property. To me, it's a must. And anytime someone asks, do I really need title insurance? My answer to that question is yes, absolutely.
Now, if you could have a theme song that played every single time that the doors opened to that room where you're closing, what would it be? What would it be?
Wow, Chris, that's a good question.
Gotta ask a musician.
Yeah, man, that's a difficult. Honestly, it would have to be something classy like Frank Sinatra or something like that. You can't go wrong with Frank. You know what I mean? So I would have to go with something like that. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
And Paige, what does a typical day look like for a closing processor here at the title company?
A typical day is ordering payoffs, communicating with buyers and sellers, talking to lenders, talking to agents, talking with Travis if there's any issues that come up, ordering any court documents that we might need, or entity documents if someone's buying or selling in a different entity. So most of our days are just spent kind of playing in those files. And sticky notes. Yeah. Lots and lots of sticky notes. Different colors just everywhere. My files, you open it up, it's like a story in sticky notes.
Now, what's one of the most common questions that you get asked leading up to closing?
I would say either what's our closing costs going to be, which we have a fee calculator on our website, so that could be helpful to get an idea. That in combination with the contract to get those final total closing costs that we'll need for closing. So probably what are my closing costs going to be? And then for a buyer, it's probably how do I get my money to you? So either wire, cash, cashier's checks. So just having those conversations on how do I get the money?
Has anybody asked if they could just bring a whole bucket of cash?
Yes. So if they decide to bring us a suitcase of cash, that's fine, but we'll go to our bank together and get that deposited.
We don't want the cash. We don't want you to bring it here. Let's just meet at the bank.
Go to the bank.
They're really good at counting it and keeping it secure. So, we've had it happen where folks show up with a suitcase full of cash and we immediately are like, let's go to the bank. And we don't encourage it. We don't want that for, really their own safety. And secondly, we want to make sure that it's accurate. And so we always defer to the bank at that point.
And now what might be the most important question of all, what kind of cookie would you want to add to the box that you guys give everybody at closing?
I mean, we don't have anything with frosting. I don't know, can we put frosting in?
Paige wants frosting.
I'm just saying, I think a frosted cookie might go good for the holidays.
What flavor cookie?
I'm like a sugar cookie with some frosting on.
But just so everybody, we ship in Christie cookies and we bake them here for every closing.
They are so good.
So whatever Christie has got, we're happy to bake. They'll tell us what you want. We'll change it up. So yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed this fantastic chat about the closing process with Travis and Paige. Their expertise really highlights why having the right professionals on your team is so important when buying or selling a home. Now, if you have any questions or need any guidance in real estate in Cleveland or Chattanooga or the surrounding areas, please feel free to reach out. My phone number is going to be right here on the screen, so you can text me at that. And you'll also find all of my contact information right in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, when you work with me, you're not just buying or selling a home, you are helping to make a real difference through Mission 42. Your next move is going to be their new hope. and I'll see you next time.